Imagine meeting your ex after many years apart. But not just that, imagine experiencing an indefinite flight delay due to a snowstorm, which leads to spending the night together. This is the story of Bill and Willa, and it's either this is a coincidence, or the universe works by allowing them to fix their long-time issues. In the opening scene of What Happens Later, we hear an announcer over the PA system welcoming flight boarders into the DDST regional airport. Bill and Willa, who are ex-lovers, are disappointed to discover that their flight is rerouted through the regional airport due to an update in the weather report. But both are unaware that they are in the same airport. Willa wanders around in search of an electrical source to power up her phone, after she gets refused audience by one of the airport attendants, while Bill drags his luggage about with him. Willa, on one end, is a free-spirited person and a spiritual wellness practitioner in the healing arts, while Bill is a straight-laced and uptight corporate worker. They both share the same name, W. Davis. They were never married, but fate has its ways of making them share the same surname. After several attempts of dodging each other without the other's knowledge, they eventually meet face to face. Unable to pretend not to see each other, the both of them approach each other to exchange greetings, and the conversation between them gets very awkward as they talk simultaneously throughout. Willa and Bill try as much as they can not to sound off, as they recall the last time they saw each other some 20 to 25 years back, before parting ways to go find their connecting flights. The announcer informs the travelers once more over the PA system that travel restrictions have been imposed, hence they have to confirm from the flight board in the main concourse for connecting gate changes, departures, and delays. Bill comes back, running directly into Willa on the way to the main concourse. On their way, he notices that Willa is limping. She reveals it is due to arthritis resulting from aging. Their conversation seems to ease up a little bit, as they converse quite freely and laugh over a funny statement. Bill reveals he was diagnosed with anticipatory anxiety, and he explains he feels worried they might be lost. Thankfully, the announcer's voice comes up over the PA system, and Bill suggests they turn around. Willa reveals that her flight is headed for Boston, where she intends to perform a cleansing ceremony for her friend Ginny, who is getting a divorce. She shows him the rain stick she's carrying along with her. The conversation continues between them as Willa branches into her current occupation as a masseuse, chakra cleanser, and wellness practitioner in healing. The announcer's voice comes up requesting Miami and Atlanta passengers to report to their designated gates. Bill thinks they are trying to get some flights out before the storm. He informs Willa that he needs to leave so he can attend to something else. Willa gets out of control, pointing at people with the rain stick, saying they also have a meeting. Bill tries to stop her from pointing at people, to no avail. He reveals that her behavior is exactly why he loved her, and why they broke up. Willa suddenly goes quiet for a few seconds. She requests he reveal the truth about why they broke up, and not just the thing people say to themselves or friends after a breakup. Bill doesn't say anything in response, but reads out what is written on the display board. Willa demands to know if truly her behavior and personality are the reason for their breakup. She doesn't imagine their reunion would bring such a revelation, so she walks away to go have a sit down. Bill joins her, but tries not to invade her space by sitting a few seats away from her. Willa soon cools off, and the conversation continues. They share the current location where they live, and Willa wonders if Bill still writes poetry and sings. Bill is surprised to see she hasn't forgotten that he sings. She admits that though she smokes a lot of pot, she still can't forget a single thing he said. She reminds him he used to always say a man's word is his bond, which she believed, but he left without an explanation. Bill insists he is a man of his word, and he is trustworthy. Hearing her blame him for leaving makes him laugh loudly. Meanwhile, she doesn't even understand what's so funny. Later on, he informs her the situation is pretty bad, as they will be getting hit by the storm of the century. Willa doesn't believe the weather report, because they are barely into the century, which makes it impossible for a century's worth of snow to be blown out in one night. She reveals Ginny through the I Ching for her trip, and her results from the universe say to endure this dangling and submit to fates. Bill can't make sense of that, however he now remembers Ginny. Bill gives her his phone to use, after she explains that her phone is flat and none of the power outlets have worked for her. She gasps, thinking the passcode he called out is her birthday. However, Bill reveals it's also an IRS form in his company that liquefies damaged assets, so he files a lot of 1127. Willa looks disappointed, and turns to see he still scratches his beard unusually whenever he's worried, or doesn't know how to talk about something. He reveals he is just waiting to hear from his 15-year-old daughter, who has yet to reply to any of the messages he sent her after the issue he had with his wife. Willa is surprised he has a daughter, however, she advises that he complete the 4 steps of the Sacrament of Reconciliation, instead of letting his apology remain halfway. Bill is not interested in hearing that, and he informs her he needs to go prepare for a meeting. The announcer speaks over the PA, informing passengers with tickets to Boston and Austin flights that there will be a delay in their flight until further notice, due to weather conditions. However, they are to remain in the gate area, as the situation could change at any moment. Bill and Willa grunt in annoyance. They can't believe it had to be just their flights. He implores Willa to help him watch over his luggage, while he goes grab some coffee. She grumbles in dissatisfaction over the announcement, deletes the message she sent through Bill's phone, and almost immediately a call from Beth Ann, Bill's wife, comes in. She picks up the call and introduces herself as his friend way back from Madison. Bill gets back and hands her the cup of coffee with the dash of cinnamon he got for her. She appreciates that he still remembers that she likes cinnamon. She confesses it's one of the many things her mom used to love about him. They engage in a little conversational argument about the music blaring through the speaker, and the one time he hid her CD when their friends came over to save her from humiliating them with her taste in music. Bill gets up packing his things to change seats, because he can no longer stand the song blaring through the speaker, and Willa joins him in moving. They argue about the time he took away the record player he paid for, and other memorable moments. Moments later, thunder claps violently as the storm begins. Willa suggests they play a wallet game. They trade wallets, which is the fastest way to catch up with each other. Bill finds it odd. After all, phones are way better. He agrees to play, just to pass the time. They swap wallets and begin going through each other's things. They come across things that bring back memories of their past activities together, and they just laugh over it, reminiscing the fun moments and circumstances leading to it. Willa sees a photo of Beth Ann and Rosie, Bill's daughter. He reveals he is worried about Rosie's decision to be a dancer. Willa doesn't seem to understand why he would be worried about his daughter dancing. Expected, since she simply wanted to live with him in the woods and have babies with him. But he said it wasn't the life he wanted. She thinks he just didn't want that life with her due to her personality, because he eventually built that life with someone else, which is the truth he never admitted. She thinks her personality was the issue. After all, they worked beautifully together. She informs him that Beth Ann called earlier, and she picked it up when he went to get coffee. She wonders if his wife knows about their relationship, and Bill reveals he didn't say much, because there wasn't anything to tell, aside from them attending the same school. She feels hurt that he simply described her as a girl he went to college with, despite when they shared everything. Bill calms her down and confesses that Beth Ann did know about her. Willa doubts him, because if she knew about their relationship, she would have sounded threatened. She stands up to go grab some water. Bill tries to convince her that Beth Ann's style doesn't sound threatening. On her way, Willa sees a speaker where she can ask questions, so she presses the button requesting she's no longer interested in her flight, because she wants to just go home. The announcer responds via the pause system informing her to report to the rebooking counter. Willa gets back to meet Bill wandering around. She makes a caricature of him, to prove he is not trustworthy. In irritation, and a bid to prove he is not what she has designed him to be in her head, Bill spills the reason he left her. He reveals the reason for their breakup was her exploring her sexuality, and he had to pretend he was cool with them making their relationship open. He did that just because he was in love with her. He thought it would make her happy, but he couldn't handle it. Willa tries arguing it with him, but then it makes sense to her. She walks away from Bill. Later, it's snowing heavily, and Bill sits around reading through a newspaper. Soon Willa joins him. Bill asks if she feels offended about the conversation they had earlier, and Willa starts complaining. She insists he should have said something back then, when he had a problem with her exploring her sexuality. Bill doesn't want them to go over that again, so he begs her to let it go, and she switches back to giving him silent treatment. Bill thinks that there is nothing magical about Leap Day, as it is a day invented to reconcile to the calendar every 4 years. Willa feels what he just said to her is mean, making fun of her magic, and calling her belief science. The announcer's voice blares out of the speaker once more to inform the travelers that the National Weather Service has identified the storm as a bomb cyclone. Bill doesn't understand why the words bomb and cyclone have to be together. He gets up to go grab some food to stuff his belly. Willa goes with him. They arrive at the cafe, and Willa reveals one of the best jobs she ever had was working at spinning world records, after he left Madison. They continue in their conversation, but soon get into a disagreement over him cleansing his fifth chakra, which emanates from him. He complains about the way she says "oh" instead of just "oh," and it happens to trigger his anticipatory anxiety. He picks up his things to leave, and she follows right behind him. They engage in another bout of bantering. Later on, the duo seems to have calmed down. Bill confesses to Willa how he discouraged his daughter from dancing the previous night, and it ruined her belief in how he used to tell her she could be anything she wants. When he entered her room in the morning to kiss her before leaving for the airport, she had already packed all her dancing props into the trash, and he felt horrible for that. Willa tries to make him see Rosie might not be a professional dancer if she chooses that path, but the worst that could happen will be that she turns out to be a dance instructor for preschoolers, and she might just be happy doing that. Bill looks at her, thinking that he wants his daughter to be happy. Willa recalls when she miscarried their baby. She thinks things might have turned out differently between them if they hadn't lost the baby, but Bill thinks that even if they hadn't lost the child, their relationship would still be unsustainable. Sadness sweeps through their hearts as Willa recounts the day she lost the baby at the hospital. She thought her heart would shut up towards him, but it opened up more space to love him. The birth certificate she prevented him from seeing when they were playing the wallet game actually belongs to the little girl she bore after he left Madison. Willa reveals she got pregnant by a bass player, and he left her the moment he found out she was expecting a child, so she had to give the child up for adoption. She doesn't even know where the child is anymore, but she's glad she found the perfect parents for her. Bill tries his best to comfort her. A while later, she joins Bill, who is staring at the hotel voucher someone handed to him. Bill confesses he saw her a year ago. She was changing planes in Dallas, and she walked with her head high, but today seemed different. She looked lost. He offers her the hotel voucher so she can spend the night there, and if they have 2 rooms or 2 beds, they could share. Willa pecks him on his forehead, admitting that she always looks lost. The relationship between Willa and Bill seems to have lightened up. They share a drink at the bar, chatting heartily and laughing, while Bill puts a call through to the phone number on the hotel voucher to confirm if a room is still available. They are both disappointed that there's no space for them. They check the voucher properly, and they realize rooms are not guaranteed. Lamenting about the situation, cliché applied to aged people, and boring airport music, Bill gets hyper and jumps over the bar. The announcer's voice comes through the speaker requesting W. Davis to go see the gate agent for immediate boarding at gate 10. Willa picks up her coat and sits back down to light a cigar. Bill thinks they might have detected a window to get some planes out. Willa sits unbothered as she acknowledges his optimism. Bill is surprised to see her smoking contraband. He rushes towards her and collects the cigar from her, urging her to go check it out while he gets her stuff. Minutes later, Bill comes to meet her cycling round, so he pushes her in the trolley towards her gate. Willa, who is a bit intoxicated and excited, opens up a briefcase and pours the papers out while Bill is pushing the trolley. He stops to gather the documents and asks her to run ahead until she gets to the gate. Later, both of them sober up, and Willa comes to meet Bill arranging the briefcase. She informs him that there is a window before they shut again, and they ask if she would be willing to sit in first class so that a family on standby can take her seat. She offers him her new seat, since he is also a W. Davis, just like her. That way, he can get on her flight, because she doesn't want him to miss Rosie's recital. Bill refuses to accept her offer as the announcer calls all passengers to report to the gate for immediate boarding. Willa confesses that when Bethann called, she revealed that his daughter doesn't want to stay with him for the moment, but with her mother for a few weeks. She asks why he didn't want to tell her that his marriage is over. Bill admits there is nothing to tell. Willa, on the other hand, tries talking him into not letting go, and he lashes out at her for thinking she can provide solutions to others when she's a mess. Willa hushes up, but then she insists she will not take the flight. Getting emotional, she wishes he could just storm off, as he is good at leaving. A text asking Bill to just try drops into his phone, and Willa reveals it might just be from the universe. She wishes him a safe flight as the announcer calls boarders for the last time. He thanks her and takes the ticket along with him. A few moments later, Bill is on the phone with his boss Kevin as he walks back into the airport. He informs Kevin that his flight just got cancelled. Bill gets pissed as he feels they're being played with, and he yells into space demanding to see who's in charge. Willa, on the other hand, refuses the consolation coming from the speaker. She feels nothing changes, no matter how hard she tries to change it. She gets up in search of her bag. She walks into Bill sitting on one of the seats, and her things are on the seat beside him. Bill admits he never understood how he let her talk him into doing impossible things. He explains that their flight got canceled before he even had the chance to sit. Willa gets up, saying she needs to go get some sleep somewhere, as there's no room or bed to sleep on. Bill apologizes for all he said to her earlier. Her rain stick starts rattling, and she raises it above them, bringing it down slowly. She laughs as she says they're all cleansed. Bill funnily shakes his body, like he's shivering. He takes her hand and kisses it. They say several goodbyes emotionally, as though they have no intention of leaving, until Willa finally starts walking away. Almost midway, the announcer over the speaker calls out, informing them that the facility will power down to only essential functions due to the current weather emergency. And almost immediately the light goes off as they try to argue with the announcer over the speaker. Willa and Bill laugh unbelievably. Bill suggests they drink, and he brings out the gin and vodka he packed from the bar earlier. Despite being stuck in their unpleasant situation, they start drinking and having fun as they dance to the music blaring through the speaker. They flow with the excitement of the moment, making merry and enjoying the moment while it lasts. Some moments later, they lay their backs on the floor, facing the sky, talking about the things they feel would do differently if they could change it. Realizing they are the only ones left, they get up, and Bill reveals there's something he should have asked her before leaving Madison. Suddenly, he asks how many guys she was with back then. Willa tries to evade the question, but he insists she answers, so she reveals she wasn't sleeping around, and she was faithful. Bill can't believe it, because he felt he witnessed it himself. It makes no sense to him, and she tries to convince him that she is telling the truth. Bill confesses the reason he left was because he thought she slept with other men, and he wasn't sure the child they lost was his. He thought she wouldn't commit to a traditional family, and he was afraid she would resent him for feeling tied down. They acknowledge their faults and reconcile by apologizing to each other. They get on a little scooter-like motor, and Bill drives in a circle inside the facility. They recall their baby's smile when they went for a sonogram. and how old she would be if only she had lived. They soon get carried away in their conversation and are about to kiss when Bill's phone rings. The call is from Rosie. He apologizes for discouraging her from dancing and assures her she can dance and have as much fun as she wants because he loves her. He mentions that the world breaks everybody's heart, and Willa looks at him in disbelief as she makes gestures with her body insinuating he is derailing. On dropping the call, she attacks him for going off point, and he starts laughing. He confesses Rosie had already hung up, and he's just trying to get at her. They both laugh because she fell for his plot. As they continue their ride, Willa reveals she has one more card she should have told him about. She reveals the real reason she is heading to Boston. Her daughter's name is Maggie, and she just turned 20. She called her requesting to meet. In the course of her journey, she got scared and sent a text to her daughter using his phone that she will not be coming, and she replied by asking her to just try. Bill stares at her in surprise, realizing that the message he got was from her daughter, and her number is written on Willa's shoe. Bill gets up, picks up her rain stick, and grabs her hand out of the motor. He raises the rain stick over her head and brings it down slowly, as it rattles continuously. He hugs her and tells her she's cleansed, and he feels in his chakras and bones that she can do it. Willa laughs as they get back into the ride. The next morning, the lights in the facility come on, waking them from the floor where they spent the night. The announcer informs all travelers that the facility is now fully operational, and all runways and connections are restored, hence outbound flights will resume shortly. The duo pack up their stuff and ready themselves. Later on, Willa joins Bill where he is sitting. He informs her that they just called his flight over the PA system. Bill hands her phone, as he already charged it for her, and the announcer calls Willa's flight. Willa gets emotional, and Bill rushes to her. He recognizes the look she has on, and he dares her not to evade the flight. He understands how she feels, so he tries to encourage her not to quit going to see her daughter. The announcer announces the last call for Bill's flight. She hands him her rain stick, and they say their goodbyes to each other. Bill's hands her his card, and both of them get emotional as the thought of saying goodbye sets in. Bill kisses her lips, and they quench the longing inside of them for a few seconds, before they finally part ways to board their flights. Willa reads and looks at the card Bill gave her. She laughs, seeing that he wrote, "Just try," on it. Bill sits on his seat, after properly keeping his bags in the luggage space. He picks up the rain stick and stares at it affectionately. He looks outside the window and sees Willa in her seat on another plane. Coincidentally, she sees him too, and they make hand signals, communicating with each other from their flights. The plane's engines start whirring, and they take off in different directions.